Welcome back to the Deep Biggest Sports Pod. I'm your host, Drew. My other host right over there.
What's up? It's D. Good to see you again. We're going to get into some playoff football. But before we do that, be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. Drop some comments below. Let us know your thoughts.
And left hands up. We the Commanders. Bro, the Commanders pull off a crazy upset win against the Lions. Didn't just beat them. They dominated them. They did not got stopped once on offense, and it was a fourth down that they miscommunication from Mariota and the running back. And on the defense side of the ball, got 5 turnovers on the Lions. So,
Yeah.
what do you want? What do you want to talk about first from this game?
I mean, where do you want to start? Like, realistically, let's go ahead and start with the good side of things, which is Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels and Tom Brady just kept singing his praises the entire game. They kept cutting to like him on the sideline, just stone faced, smiling towards the end, like showing a little bit like yeah, things are going well. And it's like, dude, this guy is not a rookie. He is playing like a veteran. He is out here cold blooded. He is just taking care of business. He's acting like he's been here before when this team hasn't been to, I believe they said, an NFC championship in the last 33 years before this guy was even born. So it's like all these things that, like, and they were even saying he didn't have to wait long, but if he was a second pick in the draft, but how could you pass up on this guy? And it's like, God, like we're looking at a generational talent here.
Caleb Williams got to be pissed just sitting at home watching Jayden Daniels look this good, winning games. And as far as like seeing Jayden Daniels praises, like I just want to look at it like this. I saw now that they made the NFC Championship game, the Cowboys are the only team who in the NFC who have not made the NFC Championship game in this century. And I'm looking at Jayden Daniels and his Commanders. They're only going to get better. I'm thinking someone tweeted out he might be the best quarterback in the NFC right now, and that's not even a hot take. And like look at, and then I started to look around. Jayden Daniels might run the NFC for. He might not win this year. He might not make it to the Super Bowl. He might not win the Super Bowl, but he might run this shit for years going forward. If you look around, the Eagles, Jalen Hurts is questionable. Vikings, their quarterback situation is questionable. Lions are going to be worse. They're going to lose both coordinators. Goff, we just saw, got exposed by the Washington team. 49ers in shambles. The Rams, Stafford's getting old. Cooper Kupp isn't what he was. I know it's Puka show now, but they don't have as many weapons on offense. The Packers can't beat a good team to save their life. So really, what team is set up now to be the future of the NFC more so than the Commanders?
Yeah, I mean, that's what okay. Let's pump the brakes here. I really like Jayden Daniels, but like I do also like what Tom Brady mentioned. Honestly, I thought Tom Brady had a good game. I'm gonna go ahead and say it out there.
I like Tom Brady this game.
It,
Yeah, it started a little slow, but he got better over.
he had some good nuggets, and I was like, okay. And he was saying like one thing about this is we shuffle the deck after every season. It's not like, oh, you can build off of one season. I mean, we seen it a couple years ago with Joe Burrow. It was like, okay, they're going to be the ultimate contender for this Chiefs team. It's going to be Joe Burrow and Pat Mahomes. And look at Joe Burrow they haven't been good since then. You know what I mean? They haven't really figured things out. And it's not just as simple as, hey, we have the right quarterback. Let's go ahead and move forward. But if you look at this Commanders team, not only do they have the right quarterback, I was just kind of like looking as they were kind of panning over guys. They have the right quarterback. They have a very, very good and accomplished head coach. They obviously have Cliff Kingsbury, which I don't know if you heard Gronk talk about it. He was after the game. He was like, the fact that there are job openings and people haven't contacted Cliff Kingsbury about every job opening in the NFL is ridiculous. They have a good defensive coordinator. They have Adam Peters, who is helping to build this team. And then they have ownership that is all on board, ready to pay whatever to have a winning organization. All things are looking towards this is going to be a bona fide rebuilt organization, and they are ready to be like, they're not losers anymore. We're ready to win.
Yeah, and I want to talk about Cliff Kingsbury now because yes, Dan Quinn has done an amazing job, but this offense was this offense was unstoppable today. And I know the Lions, they were already banged up coming in. They had injuries throughout the game in that secondary, but they were just not stopping the Commanders today. They played mistake-free football. They were explosive. They were aggressive. And now I'm looking at Cliff Kingsbury. The narrative's already starting. Immediately after this game with Gronk, and they're all the guys are like, yeah, Cliff Kingsbury, he's the guy. He is going to start to get looked at now for these head coaching jobs and be a bigger name thrown around. And I was looking at it like, well, me and you talked a little bit. He outcoached Ben Johnson in this game. Is that fair?
100%. I mean, Ben Johnson did have Jared Goff, and Jared Goff had mistakes, but also Ben Johnson at certain points just it felt like it got too cute. It felt like in the fourth quarter, especially when they had about 7 minutes left, they are still running a full fucking huddle. And it's like, what are we doing here? Even Tom Brady's like, what are we doing? Why are they getting in a huddle? Like, you guys need to hurry up. They wasted like 2 minutes, like all gathering and figuring out what they were going to do next. Like, you should be on it on this. Like, it just felt like Ben Johnson just didn't have the answers. And when he felt like he did have the answers, it was a cute play and it just kind of it fizzled out.
Yeah, he had some great play calls today. I'm not gonna lie though. The pitch to Montgomery and then shovel pass to Amiral was ridiculous. There was a couple of the end around was a great play, but just took it a step too far. And as far as at the end of the game, where I mean, if Jared Goff throws a touchdown at the end there, they would have had way more time to try to get another onside and like try to get going. But you saw he threw a pick with 30 seconds left. He had to force it because they're running low on time. I there's a whole tangent that I could go on because I feel like we've seen this time and time again this season now, and there's too many guys trying to protect their reputation at the end of these games, not trying to get a severe blowout when they're down 3 scores, 2 scores, and they feel like it's probably too little, too late for us to come back, and they run a slow like 6-7 minute offense when it's like we're in 2 minute guys. We should be pushing for the ball. And I think Brady was the perfect guy to call this because he doesn't give a fuck. He was the guy that is going to play to the final whistle. And I mean, if he had that mindset, we wouldn't have came back against the Falcons in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And too many times this season, we've seen teams pack it in and just be like, well, we just want to lose by close enough to where we don't look really bad to the fans or like to the organization and protect our reputation. And that's what I felt like was happening in that drive.
But I mean, to like be devil's advocate here, they did put up a ton of yards. They put up a ton of yards. They're moving the ball up and down the field. It didn't exactly change into points. Like, I mean, obviously,
But
it
I'm talking
was
about
points.
the
But
drive,
yeah, I
the
know
second to
exactly
last drive where they're lollygag, they're walking to the huddle, they're taking all the sweet time when it's
Sweet
like, guys,
Natty special.
yeah, let's get going here. Let's at least try to win the game.
Yeah, and it felt like if they would have had even again a minute left, which they did waste a minute in huddles. If they would have had that minute left on the back half of this, you feel a lot. You would have. I don't think Jared Goff makes that stupid throw
Yeah.
and tries to force it in. And so, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. But I mean, if you're the Raiders, you're like, oh, but Ben Johnson did really good, and the offense did really good, and we're excited. Which I mean, you should be if you. And honestly, that could. I don't understand the rush for NFL coaches to be hired. It should be after. It should be a designated spot after the Super Bowl because it's not college. You're not having to recruit these guys. You're not having to work on the transfer portal. You're not having to do all these other stupid things that college coaches actually have to worry about and programs need to hire as soon as their season ends. As an NFL team, you have everything designated. Free agency is designated for after the season. The draft is designated after the season. We have a combine. We have all these different things. Why are we rushing to do all of these coaching hires? And you have a guy like we had a lot of buzz in Ben Johnson, and he was taking interviews all over. And it seems like him and the Raiders were married, a couple days ago. Does that affect like the game planning and the ability to focus in if you are in depth on these interviews?
Yeah, it's ridiculous that that's the system. It punishes guys for being really good at their job because look at a guy like Spagnuolo. Like he doesn't get any buzz, but like he's never gonna be really in the contention for a job seriously, because he's going to be the last guy interviewed. Like at that point, it's like you have to take your swing on a guy at by the time the Super Bowl's over because of the way the schedule's set up. But like, yeah, I want to talk more about this coaching because I was thinking like Kingsbury, if he does get coach budge, I don't think he's going to go to the Bears. I don't know if Caleb Williams is going to be hyped about working with Kingsbury. Um,
And if I'm Kingsbury, I wouldn't. I'd be like, yeah, I've done that. I'm not. I'm
what
okay.
about we don't gotta we'll talk about this in another video, but I'm just gonna throw this out there. Kingsbury to the Jags.
Yeah,
Trevor Lawrence, air raid.
revitalize him. I mean, yeah, there's a lot to work with there. I mean, talent wise,
And
with
for the
Trevor
for the
specifically.
Bears, did you see that Eddie George is actually interviewing for the Bears tomorrow? Seems like
They don't know what
getting,
the fuck they want.
but I'm saying it seems like they're getting that what's the rule?
The
The
Rooney Rule.
the Rooney rule out of the way.
But
No
they've
one
already
disrespect
interviewed a
Eddie
bunch
George.
of people. Like, I don't know.
Ben Johnson's gonna be hired within 2 days, I think. It's gonna be
Yeah,
the Raiders or it's gonna be the Bears, which I think it's gonna be the Raiders. And does this game hurt Aaron Glenn's chances at all?
I'm gonna say no. I think realistically, if you're a team that was leaning towards defense and already had your sight set on Aaron Glenn, I don't think this affects it whatsoever. I think you look back at the rest of the season and what he was able to do with this defensive unit that, by all means lost a ton of talent to injury. And you've seen what he can do and how he can rally the troops and what he's about. I think you're a little bit cautious about his play calling because he is a guy. I mean, the book is out on him. He is aggressive. He will blitz, and if you're ready for it, you can exploit that. But I think you just have a conversation with him and tell him to tone it down. Like, hey, we can't be, you know, was Greg Williams when he was like fucking zero blitz.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't be doing that. But like, hey, let's. I think you should be high on Aaron Glenn if you were already on that. I just don't know how many teams are looking towards a defensive coach because it seems like obviously the trend has been young offensive guy that could help my quarterback.
Yeah, I don't know if it was like so much stubbornness or the secondary so banged up he's trying to mask it, but he blitzed a shit ton in this game, and Jayden Daniels just sliced and diced through it. And even coming into the second half, Tom Brady was like, if I was them, I would sit back and cut down on the blitzes, and then that drive they blitzed 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
And I think partially it was like, well, we can't give him time because they're gonna win against our guys in that secondary. But also they could have mixed it up a little bit more. Who knows? It clearly wasn't working. Jayden Daniels was not affected by the blitz, so I probably would have spread back out and said, okay, well then let's protect these passing lanes. Let's not let him get on the edge and run on us. But at that point, you're really, back up against the wall there.
And I mean, now to take it to the other side, Jared Goff did not have a good game at all. Jared Goff had, was it 3 picks? It was 2 in the first half, the one at the end. He had a fumble lost. Not great. And I mean, he had a game this season where he threw 5 picks. And you kind of know what Jared is. Jared is boom or bust. I mean, he looked a lot better throughout the season than he had his low times. I mean, this is a guy that Sean McVay was like basically like, fuck you, I hate Jared Goff on his way out of with the Rams. And Detroit picks him up, lifts him up, and he ends up, proving that he's still a good quarterback. But I think there is a ceiling to Jared Goff. If you're the Lions, do you look at him any different moving forward?
I mean, you can't have that mindset because you paid him, and like he really is like not just cornerstone of your team, but he's one of your main leaders. He's one of your guys, and Dan Campbell's embraced him so much it'd be hard to move off of him. And you have really no other option. There's no young rookie quarterbacks coming in, and like Hendon Hooker, who rumored to be going to the Raiders. Like he's already like 27, 28 years old. Like he is not going to be the future of this team either. So I thought we were past this with Goff. I thought he was like getting into that upper tier, like top 10 guys consistently, and we just saw like how he got exposed. And my thing is like he didn't really have anything working against him. Like people shit on Brock Purdy up and down for having a great team around him. Oh, well, he's winning with all these weapons. He's only good because of the weapons. He went to a Super Bowl. He was winning games. Jared Goff had all the weapons, had probably the best play caller right now in the NFL. He shit the bed. Like, I just think it's crazy. Like, in that situation, you cannot be the guy that blows it for your team, especially on a team built like this.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at that, this team is stacked. Again, we talked before this. I gave the Commanders no chance in this game because of all of the things that, not even just this year, but in years previous, like how the Detroit Lions have continued to build out this organization. They have two of the best running backs in the league in Sonic and Knuckles. They have a gang of wide receivers that are just uber talented. On the defensive side, they play really fast. Honestly, like they've overachieved throughout this year. And it was really there's not a whole lot there wasn't a lot of holes that you could poke into them. But Jared Goff made mistake after mistake after mistake. And even Tom Brady was like, you can't come back from 4 turnovers. And at the time it was 4. They had 5, right?
Yeah, the whole time I was kind of like second half. I was thinking, dude, what would have been good for this Lions team? What if they had Matt Stafford right now?
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking like Matt Stafford on this team would be fucking nasty. And now I'm thinking like Matt Stafford trade for Jared Goff this offseason. Who says no first? And
McVay.
hear me out. I take the McVay part out of it. Like, say it's just an organizational thing. You take a Lions team that's built to win now. Let's get this guy back in here, old gunslinger. And then you take a Rams team who is like, we just want someone who's going to be stable for the organization for a few more years. Get Jared Goff back in there. And
No.
I think he's above like a game manager, but he's definitely not in that upper tier of quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, there's a very clear ceiling to him. You're not going, and I remember being like, "Oh, okay." Even I had this thought during the game. I was like, oh, "Okay," but at least Jared Goff got the Super Bowl win. No, he went to the Super Bowl, lost. The Rams got rid of him. They won a Super Bowl, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes you look a little bit different at Jared Goff. I think there is a very clear ceiling to what he can do. I think that there should be rumblings about it. I mean, I know people were talking this offseason like Hendon Hooker looks good. Maybe they'll, and then that got shut down once they got a deal done with Jared Goff. But
They didn't even put Hendon Hooker in this game. I
yeah,
don't want to hear anything about Hendon Hooker potentially surpassing. Like, if you don't feel good enough that a guy who was coaching high school football a few weeks ago is your backup and playing in a meaningful game in the playoffs, then Hendon Hooker might not even make this fucking roster next year.
I think they continue to make swings in the draft, though. I think they do get, a 3rd or 4th round quarterback. I can see that. I can see that happening.
Jalen Milroe?
I mean, he's going to be a 1st round pick, bro.
No,
Let's be for real. But I think that they are going to continue to take swings at quarterback. I think that they're going to do all the things that they like are correct, but if someone comes through shining in that 3rd or 4th, round, I think they will pick up a guy and just kind of give it a shot. Just what they did. They if they go and flip Hendon Hooker, they're going to say, "Hey, we just have a need at backup quarterback."
3rd round, Quinn Ewers sitting there. Honestly, he's not like crazy different from Jared Goff. He's not a guy that's gonna be mobile. He probably will understand the offense.
He has a lot of arm talent. I think more arm talent than he's shown this past year.
And here's the thing, like, you can't move off from Goff, at least for a while. I mean, outside of the turnovers, he was slinging it. Like, he was getting yards. He's looked really good for this team. And I thought that they were set up for a Super Bowl run. They hit a wall, and he hit a wall specifically. But the defense, like, let's not put it all on Goff. The defense got shredded today. They just ran out of bodies, and it didn't work out for them. Maybe next year we're gonna have to see who their coordinators are, because that's big shoes to fill, and you don't want to replace Goff, especially in a year where you're like, we don't even know if we're gonna have a good play caller. We want someone who's gonna be stable enough to get us through those first few weeks.
That's 100% true. I mean, any final thoughts from this game? I mean, it was a good game. I just want to hear any final thoughts.
I think that I wasn't expecting like too much from this game, but they showed out, and the Ravens and Bills have a lot to live up to now because this game was a banger. Like this,
No,
the first game today wasn't great, but this game was a banger.
oh my god, and I think the Commanders can beat either the Eagles or the Rams moving
Oh yeah, I
forward.
think so. I think if they played the Rams, we just saw how Jayden Daniels handles the blitz, and that's the whole Rams whole thing. And so that you neutralize the main weapon of that defense, and then on the Eagles side, this Commanders team, if they played that well on defense against the Lions, who are loaded, like can they take away Saquon a little bit? And AJ Brown, the chemistry's not there with Jalen Hurts right now. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, so be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe because we will be discussing that once we have everything settled as far as what the matchups look like for the NFC and AFC championship.
see ya.
Later.